Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. I've got a really exciting video today that is actually a follow-on from my pros and cons of going to a university in London video, but I thought I would do a video specifically on the University of Greenwich just because ever since filming university videos and videos on events management, I've got a hell of a lot of DMs on Instagram, like a lot, and some of them are genuinely asking just specifically about Greenwich Uni. I don't think there's a lot out there on the internet. Obviously there is from the University of Greenwich themselves, but sometimes it's nice to know a bit of information for someone who's actually experienced it. So I'm just going to talk you through my experience of University of Greenwich today and just go through some of the questions that I've been most frequently asked on Instagram. Obviously, if you do have any more questions, feel free to DM me on Instagram. I'm more than happy to answer any that you may have, but hopefully this will be a good starting point for you. So for those of you that don't know, I've been going to the University of Greenwich for 4 years now, which is quite a long time, and I study events management as my degree. So I have quite a lot of experience about the university, and to start off I thought I'd just give you some facts about the university in general, because if you haven't seen it, it's a stunning building and it's very old and it's actually a heritage site. So I thought I'd just give you some cool facts because these were some of the things that really swayed me because I just thought it was really damn cool. I've got them written on my laptop, so I'm just going to pull them up for you. So as I mentioned, it is a World Heritage Site because it was the original site of the Palace of Placentia, I think is how you say it, which basically means it was the birthplace of quite a lot of the Tudor monarchs like Henry VIII. So the ground that I'm walking on when I go to University of Greenwich was actually where Henry VIII was born, which is kind of mental if you think about it and you're a bit of a history geek, but like that's pretty intense. So the building was actually designed by Sir Christopher Wren and was supposed to be a hospital, and was a hospital between 1692 and 1869. So 1692, like 17th century, that's pretty damn old. And just to put it into perspective, I tried to find like a figure that would kind of make you realise how old it really was, but America was founded in 1776 and the university was built in 1692. So like the building is older than like America, basically. What? We also have a lot of filming going on there because it is such an old style building, so like the King's Speech, Les Mis, 4 Weddings and a Funeral, and the Queen I've got written down. I think that's supposed to say The Crown, and The Crown, that's the one, was filmed at the university, and there's often times where you'll be going to class and they've got bits closed off for like filming and things. I think they just filmed like Cruella de Vil there with Emma Stone, which is pretty cool. You obviously don't see a lot of the actors because they tend to do it outside of university hours, but something cool that goes on there. And the actual university was then established in 1890, so it's been around for quite some time. But yeah, there was just some little facts about the University of Greenwich which you may not have known, but I will now get into some of the questions and answers from the DMs in my Instagram. So I think the main thing people want to know is about like the learning environment, because obviously you see this beautiful building but you don't actually know like what it's going to be like when you get inside. So in terms of the buildings, like I said, they're all stunning and it was one of the things that attracted me to the university. In terms of the classrooms and like the lecture theatres, they all are quite basic. I'm assuming it's because obviously because the building is so old they can't do a lot of renovations to it or anything like that. So it tends to be your typical blue carpet, blue chairs with your benches, and then some like screens, so it will be just like a, what do you call it, like a projector screen. If you've watched some of my like day in the life vlogs you would have seen it because I tend to film some sneaky clips whilst I'm in the lecture hall. And we also have smaller classrooms which will be for like tutorials, and that's just your basic blue carpet, table and chairs, projector. It is really more about like the content that the lecturers put across, which is where you really get your value from. Saying that though, I guess it's not the learning environment, but the environment in general. They have just redone one of the buildings. I can't actually remember what it's called. The Dreadnought building, which is like a new hub for us, so we can go in there. It's got tables and chairs and like a Starbucks and all this cool stuff, and it's just basically like a study hall. And they've also just redone the student union, so it's now underground and it's a bit like kind of like a club setting. I haven't been in there, but I'm going to go in there to get some footage of it for you. But it's really cool, got a new bar, and yeah, just a cool space for people to hang out, get a few drinks at a bit of a cheaper price because it's the student union. For those of you that don't know what a student union is, I'm not sure if every university like in the world has one because I have a lot of international students watching these videos. It's basically just like a hub for the students to go after hours or for lunch and things like that, just to chill out and have some fun. Sometimes they'll have like games nights or music nights or quizzes, or like club nights in there, so it's just something a little bit different. And I guess it would be kind of like, I'm not sure if it's like a sorority at all, but it's kind of like the same social output that they're trying to get, you know. Then I guess going into the learning environment is obviously your classmates. So obviously I can't speak for all of the courses going on at the University of Greenwich, but for me personally, doing events management, we do have a lot of international students, so I'd say it's like maybe even 50-50, like English students and international students. I think it is just because it's London and that a lot of international students come to London specifically to go to university, and saying that, there are a lot of English students that travel to London to go to university, like me. So I would say maybe like 20% or 10% of the students actually live in London, like have done all their lives, but otherwise most people travel in, which is really nice because it basically means you're pretty much all new and you haven't experienced London before, so you can all do it together. Living there, at least you might have been there on like vacation or for the weekend or whatever, but living in London is a whole new ball game, so you'll get to do that together as well as kind of like find your feet at the university. It also means like you don't have like the cliques that you do in secondary school, like high school or whatever, because everyone's new, so you get to form new friendships like completely background free, no drama, and kind of make the drama as you go, obviously, because it's gonna happen at some point, but it's just a really nice like kind of clean slate to start your university life. Going on to what the lecturers are like, I found, can't speak for everyone, but I found that our lecturers are like super lovely and super approachable. I always thought lecturers to be like teachers and was a bit intimidated because obviously they have like PhDs and things and they're very intellectual human beings, but really they're just there to teach you and they want the best for you, and they're honestly there because they have a passion for the subject, and for them, some weird reason, passing on that knowledge and inspiring other people to learn about that subject that they are so passionate about, like they live for it, they bloody love it. So they're really passionate in the lectures, and it's really nice because they really do want you to succeed. So if you ever have a question or anything, like they're more than happy to answer it. Sometimes they could even go into too much detail and you're like, okay, I get it, that's like, whoa. But they are just in love with their subject that they're teaching, so they will happily talk about it for hours and hours. But yeah, super approachable, super lovely, which has been really helpful. And I honestly feel like they give you, how do I put this in a way that will make sense? They give you back what you put in. So if you are very active in lectures and you answer a lot of questions and you ask a lot of questions and you're very constant in your communication and attendance and everything like that on like email and things, they tend to give you like the benefit out of the doubt and try and help you out as much as possible. Obviously if you're MIA for the whole year and then you show up like 2 weeks before the deadline with 1,000 questions, they might not be too inclined to help you, but they're really happy to make an effort if you have made the effort. So I would definitely say consider that starting off in any university really, but it's definitely how you'll get the most out of your lecturers. So the next question is a bit more personal, and it's what made you choose the University of Greenwich? Now this has a bit of a story behind it, but originally I did not want to go to a university in London. I didn't even want to look around any in London. I was like, no, not happening. And then I was supposed to look around the University of South East London or South West London or East London, I don't know, of somewhere in London. And I booked the day off work, and as we were about to drive up, the day had been cancelled because not enough people were interested in the course, so they'd just taken the course off for the year. I was like, crap, I've taken the day off work, like my mum's agreed to drive me to London, I need to go to a university to look around. So I actually went online and tried to find other universities that are having an open day on that day, and it just so happened the University of Greenwich was. So we drove up for like 3 hours and parked for a very expensive amount of money and looked around for about half an hour, I think, because the parking was so expensive. But honestly, within that half an hour, I fell in love. The building is stunning. I'll put some pictures here, but oh my gosh, it is the prettiest building ever. And I know that's really dumb to be like, oh yeah, that's what sold me, like the building was so pretty, but it's like right on the river, and I could just envisage myself being there, and it was kind of like, I was like awestruck at how beautiful this building is. Anyway, we then went in and listened to like a mock lecture or just someone talk about the events management degree, and it was Jessica Templeton, who's one of the lecturers at the university, and honestly she was amazing. She had so much passion for it, you could just see it. She was like so excited about her subject, and we got to sit down with her afterwards and ask some questions just on like a little round table. I think there were like 5 of us and she was like floating in between, and that was really great just because, I don't know, I felt a lot more like personally involved with the university because I had already made that connection, whereas in other university open days I hadn't felt that. And then I went to the library just to have a look around, and we didn't really go in, we just like popped our heads in, and it looked pretty good, so I was like, yeah, fine, I'm not really fussy. But they had a little vintage market right next to the library, and oh my gosh, if you know anything about me, you know I love myself a good market, and I was like, oh my gosh, that looks great, like I could do that definitely. And then, this is going to sound so cheesy, but, and I haven't told Christian this, so sorry, but then a guy checked me out and my mum was like, he just checked you out. And he was like a university student, and she was like, you could so go here, I can see you here, kind of thing. And it just felt right. I could imagine myself walking through the university, I could imagine myself learning about learning the lectures and like really enjoying my lecturer's knowledge and things like that. I could imagine myself being in Greenwich in general. And they were kind of the things that ticked off for me. Like, I didn't even look around the accommodation or anything like that, but I honestly just fell in love with it. I don't know how useful this is going to be to other people who can't look around the area. I will go into obviously more detail about Greenwich in general, but that is generally just how I felt. And yeah, it just sparked something in me that just made me feel completely at home, which I was not expecting, because like I said, I didn't want to be in London, but Greenwich really didn't feel like that, so it was kind of just the perfect choice for me. And it was #1 for events management in London, which is a bit of a plus. So going into halls and University of Greenwich, going into halls and university accommodation, I stayed at the Macmillan Halls, which is just like a 10-minute walk away from the university. Honestly would not recommend. If you've seen any of my previous university videos, you'll probably know why, but I just didn't have the greatest roommates or flatmates or whatever you call them. The facilities were fine, like it was bare minimum because it was the cheapest accommodation. It was about £144 a week. I'm not sure if that's gone up now, with like, I don't even know what it's called, with the inflation or whatever it's called, but it was £144 a week. But it was just a bit run down. Like, my room was fine, but you could only open the windows like this much, and there were like dead flies in the lights of the kitchen, and all the pictures on it had, like online, had a sofa in the kitchen, so I was like, oh cool, it's like a communal area, we can all like hang out. There was no sofa, and we didn't have enough chairs around the table in the kitchen for everyone, which didn't matter because we didn't hang out that much, but it just wasn't the best experience. And I know I visited my friends in Defoe, I think the halls were called, and it was a lot more expensive. It might have been like £165 or £170 a week, but my god, it was lovely. Like, brand new kitchens. The rooms were pretty similar in like size and facilities and things like that. Like, there wasn't anything specifically wrong with the Macmillan bedrooms. But they had a gym there, and their kitchen was lovely, and they had like a proper little lounge in their kitchen, which had just made it feel a lot different. Again, it was probably a 10-minute walk, or maybe an 8-minute walk to the university, but it was just a lot more expensive, and I wasn't really willing to pay that money, which looking back I still wouldn't have, just because obviously it would have been nice to have that like good university halls, but I don't feel like I suffered too much because I had friends in Defoe, so I would spend a lot of time there anyway and just not pay the amount that they had to. Like, my friends would literally let me into the gym, so there are ways around it, but that's just my opinion. I didn't really go into any other halls. I think there's 1 or 2 other halls available. I would say though, if you are coming to the University of Greenwich, try and get a halls which is in Greenwich campus and not Avery Hill, because Avery Hill is a 20 to 30 minute bus ride away, and they have a uni bus, but it only comes like once every or twice every hour or something, so it's a hell of a lot more tricky if you just want to float to and from. So yeah, that's my take on the university halls. In terms of living in Greenwich, I bloody love it. I have lived here for 4 years now, and I am very sadly moving. Like, whilst you're watching this, I probably have already moved, but Greenwich is honestly so lovely. Because I came from a seaside town, I lived in Bournemouth, I was just used to a much slower pace of life, and I was really worried that London was going to be very intense and very full on with a hell of a lot of people, and Greenwich is honestly not London. It's SE10, so we're southeast, but we're right opposite from Canary Wharf. Like, we're pretty much in the thick of it. And if you want to get to like London Bridge, it's literally 20 minutes on the tube. So it's really well connected, but honestly, it's like a little village in the sense. Greenwich is so tiny, and there's a lot of cute boutiques and little shops and charity shops, which I really love, and it's something I was very used to growing up. But you also have Greenwich Park, which, if you haven't seen any of my weekend vlogs or anything like that, Greenwich Park holds a very special place in my heart. We go there pretty much every weekend. We sit on the same bench and have the same coffee, and we watch all the cute dogs, and we try and decide which one we're going to have when we grow up, and we look at all the cute babies, and we have barbecues there in the summer and picnics, and yeah, it's just a really lovely place to be. And it's a huge green space, which obviously when you go to London you don't expect to get, especially so close to you, because pretty much anywhere in Greenwich is like 10 minutes away from the park because it is so big. But it's just something that I really appreciate about Greenwich, and I also found it really easy to kind of set up a community, in the sense like I went to some of the same shops quite often, and you get to know the same people, and you kind of feel like you're putting down your roots in Greenwich, where I don't feel as nameless as I would like in the thick of the city. I feel like if I was in like, I don't know, if I went to King's College, like right in the heart of the city, I just feel like I'd be a face among the crowd, whereas in Greenwich I feel like I'm a part of it. I don't know if that makes sense. Maybe it's just because I have been here so long, or I have set up like little traditions that I like to do in Greenwich, or that I work in Greenwich. Like, a lot of my life is spent in Greenwich, and I've lived in the same place for like 3 years now, as in this house. So it's definitely familiar, I guess, which is maybe why I feel like I'm part of it, because I've been here for so long. But I love the people are really lovely. It's mostly a student town, like, because the university is quite big, but otherwise everyone tends to be like professionals or some of a little bit older, but you don't have that many old people here actually. Maybe it's just because London in general, you don't tend to have a lot of old people, but, or at least more in the centre of London. But yeah, and like I said, I'm not sure if it was in this video or my last video, because I literally just filmed another one, but we're right next to the river, so I'll just go through some of my favourite bits of Greenwich just in case you are considering to go here. But the Cutty Sark pub I absolutely love. It's bang slap right on the edge of the river, and you can literally sit on the wall and hang your feet over, like, not into the river because it's quite low down, but over the river, and drink a glass of wine or anything like that. And it's a really kind of like old pub, like old English traditional pub, which I really like. There's also the Gypsy Moth, which is another pub but is a bit further in, so it's right next to the university actually, and it's really pretty there. They have a little garden, and lots of twinkly lights and things, and it's just really lovely in there. There's lots of different charity shops. I always get the name of it wrong. ADL charity shop, ALD charity shop, is one of my favourites. They sell furniture and clothes and everything in between, and you find some right treasures in there. The library is really good. I spend a lot of my time in the library. It's not Greenwich Library, it's the University of Greenwich Library, but it's really well equipped and is a great place to get your studying done. And obviously because we are so well like linked to the city, there's the tube, the DLR, and then like 100 buses, or even a boat. You can get a boat into the city. So I do feel like I'm not too far detached from London, but still far enough that I'm not in the chaos of the city. So then people mainly ask about my favourite part and my least favourite part, I guess, just to get a better idea of it. Honestly, my favourite part is the area. I think you would have got that from my spiel just then. But also my classmates have been really lovely. I know it's very hit and miss, and it is what you get, like you don't get to choose your classmates, but I've been really lucky to find some really lovely girls, especially Sarah and Jada. Love you guys. But we're off on holiday this year, so I'm really excited about that. But yeah, the girls on the events course have all been lovely. We're very similar minded in the sense like we're all pretty organised people, and the ones who aren't are like chaotically organised, so it's always good fun. But yeah, my classmates in the area have really made my experience here, which I think is the same for a lot of different universities. My least favourite part would just be the cost of London in general. It's nothing that the university can avoid, but obviously my course was £9,250 a year, and then you get your student loan. But I actually, excuse me, I actually had to apply for a higher student loan this year just because it didn't cover the cost of my rent, and even now my student loan covers 10 months worth of rent, not including bills, not including food, not including travel. So yeah, cost of living here is very high, and I could have applied for a larger student loan, but I decided just to work alongside my degree to kind of make up that bit of money. But yeah, that's something else to consider, is just the cost of London, but I honestly think it's worth it just because I think the job experiences and like work experience and job opportunities leaving university will be far greater, so I'll kind of get my money back in a way, you know? But yeah, that is everything I have to say about the University of Greenwich. I really love the university, I really love Greenwich in general, and I would definitely recommend it to anyone out there. No doubt about that whatsoever. Like, no matter what course you're doing, I would recommend it. Obviously I don't know about the reputation of every course. Like, I had a guy asking me about engineering or something, and I was like, do not know, sorry. So it wasn't much help in that case, but in terms of like the area, the people and the vibe in general, I guess, would definitely recommend it. Obviously if you're looking for something a bit more busy and a bit more chaotic and like in the heart of London, maybe Greenwich isn't for you because it's pretty chill down here. But if you want London without London, Greenwich is for you. If you come from like a small town or something, Greenwich is quite a good introduction into city life. But yeah, that's my 2 cents on the University of Greenwich and Greenwich in general. I hope you have liked this video. If you have, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe down below. I know it's not going to be a video that's appropriate for everyone. I know not everyone subscribed to me is going to have an interest in the University of Greenwich, but I did see the demand in my DMs on Instagram, so I just felt like this would be needed and would maybe be appreciated by at least one person out there who's considering going to the University of Greenwich. So if you did like it, please stick around. I post videos twice a week, so hopefully I'll see you very soon, and thanks very much for watching.